Hello, welcome to The Fifth Guardian. I'm your host, Tony Hunt, where today I am rider of roller coasters. But this isn't my story. It's not your story. Today's story is all about Flamingo Land Resort. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you get there, what are the different transport options. I'll touch on security. I'll only briefly mention lockers because it isn't really applicable at this park. I'll also briefly touch on food and drink, but more important than that, I'll be going through how to minimise your time in the queues at this park and maximise your time on the rides and on the attractions. That being said, I would imagine that you are here though to see what the rides are like. So I'm going to start with my top 5 rides at Flamingo Land Resort.
It's more disturbing than anything, to be honest. Why do you only have a booster bike? Like the thing up in the wall? The Tron?
Yes, yeah.
Kind of thing of it?
No.
You've got airtime on this, I remember, over that hill.
Oh, it fucking was.
It was alright, my side. Yeah, it was fun.
Oh.
You didn't position yourself right, did you?
Probably not.
Thank you for riding past. Please exit to your... Hold on tight. Hold tight.
Yeah.
That's all true. That's all true. That's another thing I'll laugh at. Like things I am the saddest of the road when I talk about rides. I give all the official things, all the names of the manufacturers.
Oh yeah.
What are you doing? Oh, do you want to do the water ride? I like that water ride. It's so down.
Here we go. Oh, good hang there. Yeah.
That wasn't too bad.
Oh, it wasn't alright, it was alright.
Yeah, a little bit rough, but not too bad.
Yeah. Like, I managed to just get my ears above it, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, I'd agree actually. That is the key.
If you can get your ears away from the restraints, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, look, background. Unless you want to head down the stairs.
Yeah, because we might. Yeah, let's come back a bit later on this one. I think.
Yeah, I can't imagine we're going to be waiting for 10
No,
minutes or anything.
no.
Like.
Thank you for
2019 anyway.
Yeah, 2 years ago for me.
I used to promise doing this like really badly.
Here we go.
Yay! Love this ride. So fun.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Just come from. We should need to stick out a little bit.
Oh.
Quick lift though as well.
Yes.
Would it be cheeky if we made money in the kids show and actually just got back around?
Oh. Hey.
That rolls.
Whoa.
Such fun.
Yeah. Here we go again.
Hang time.
Oh! Oh yes.
I love that hang time.
And again. Hey! Whee!
Oh, such a fun ride.
Oh, that was good.
Tell you what, it will be so often. It's a one train off all day, like.
Oh, have they taken the other two off?
Yeah.
All right. Do you think we can go around again then?
And ask them. Quite long, eh? Alright, Dad.
Yeah? Please? No.
Wait for the swear words now.
Deep breaths, you'll be alright, Tony.
You're alright, Tone. Don't worry about it, you'll be fine. Ready? Let's back play! Okay.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep.
Now.
Oh, yes! Oh!
Good air time.
Oh! Oh, wow, 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 wow. Oh, yeah, that's okay. I'm alright.
Alright.
Oh, my word.
Now just come back when something.
Oh.
Good air time on that, like. You get the air time at the top as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's got good
Oh, my
force,
word.
this one.
That was actually good. We might have to do that again.
I told you that.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The thing is though, when you face the other way, you'll see bigger. No. How tall it is?
200 feet.
250 feet. Oh, that doesn't feel that good. Well, that's slouch. You alright?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Whoa! Woo!
Yeah. There we go.
About feeling
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah, look at that view.
Yeah, it's a beautiful view.
Yeah.
It's countryside. You're like, alright, Yorkshireman, you need a cup of tea.
There we go. I was still a bit nervous, but I was a lot better that time.
Yeah. You didn't swear at that.
No.
You didn't swear, you could.
No. That was alright.
To be honest, let them sit on it, because nobody down there. Sit on the game for the sake of it. If you want, no.
Is that good?
To let them sit on.
Alright. Should we do another one then?
Yeah, can do let me sit on.
Yeah.
I'm not going back round to see that.
No.
If it was still alright. Nice area as well.
Yes.
Cannot win.
Here we go. This is a good ride.
Look what
Oh!
that's fucking quick, isn't it? Yeah, man. Here we go.
Yes.
Here we go. Yes! Airtime.
Here we go.
Oh, great.
Oh! And again.
Oh
Oh!
my god! That feels so weird.
And again.
And again.
Oh!
Brilliant.
That has got better.
That's brilliant.
That is running really fast. Wow.
That shit's on Colossus out, isn't it?
He gave that wooden roller coaster at Pomona 0.
Oh, do you know what his number one most disappointing was? The Beast.
Oh right, Ronnie.
Shocked at that.
Oh, I'll be getting that.
His number two was Son of Beast. But
That's gone, isn't it?
Yeah, you're yeah.
That's fine, I don't
I was like,
mind.
fucking, really? The Beast?
Oh!
Oh! Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Oh, put me in the line.
Time to hold on again.
Oh, God. Oh, not my seats. Oh. Oh. Oh.
So good.
And again. Oh. Oh.
You know that if we go on this platform, we need to go to the fucking dry and dry off here.
Thank you for riding
So we're joking when you say you get wet.
your safety belt. Remain seated until all lap bars raise automatically.
I think we'll take a break.
So that was my top 5. Now you're probably wondering why I have a top 5 list that actually is not 100% full of roller coasters. So what I'll do now is I'll just do a brief summary of each ride and why they are in the position they are in, and then I'll just do a brief summary of the rides that are not in my top 5, specifically the roller coasters that are not in this list. So number 5 in the list is Velocity. Velocity was manufactured by Vekoma and is a launch roller coaster themed with bikes side by side of this type. It was the second built by Vekoma all the way back in 2004. So unfortunately the ride is 20 years old and is actually starting to show its age. The ride does have a very punchy launch and is indeed one of the best aspects of the ride overall. The second part of the ride that I enjoyed the most would have been the ending, where it's going over 2 small bunny hills, and you do indeed have a little bit of ejector airtime. However, the rest of the ride, being sharp turns, is now starting to feel quite rough, and with the bikes sort of being really hard in terms of the seating position, it's not the most comfortable of rides nowadays. That being said, I was still comfortable enough to do it more than once, at the front and at the back. So it's a good addition to this park. It is starting, as I said, to get a little bit old and therefore a little bit rattly, specifically in the corner sections and the turns, which is a shame. But that's probably overall why I've put this ride at number 5. So at number 4 is Kumali. This is another roller coaster manufactured by Vekoma. It's effectively a custom SLC model. I am not a fan of the SLC model. Most of them out there are very rough indeed. Being an inverted roller coaster, there is an element of intensity, but I think that if you have intensity, you really do need a smooth ride. And if you have a rough ride, which unfortunately is what you get with the majority of the Vekoma SLCs, you're not in for a pleasant experience. That being said, Kumali, being a custom built SLC, it doesn't follow the default track layout. It is not too bad. It's not brilliant. It does have rough elements, but they are bearable. And so that overall is why I've got Kumali at number 4 in my list. There seems to be a theme at this moment in time. It's almost about not how good the rides are, but how bearable they are in terms of roughness. You will enjoy Kumali, but if you compare it to some of the best B&M inverts, unfortunately there is no comparison. But it is a little bit more fun and ironically smoother than the roller coaster Velocity in number 5, which is why Kumali sits at number 4. So number 3 in the list is Mumbo Jumbo. This is a small default layout built by S&S Technologies. It was actually the second of its type built in the world by S&S. At the time it had the steepest drop for a first drop. It doesn't anymore. That being said, it's still a very enjoyable ride. It has plenty of airtime moments and also has significant hang time as well, which is very enjoyable. Overall, it's just a fun little ride. Now the reason I've put this above positions 4 and 5, Kumali and Velocity, is that the ride has a number of elements and is also really smooth. I was very surprised by this ride. I have ridden it before. I was a bit worried, having ridden it quite a few years ago, how it would ride today. It's riding really well. So it is a small layout, but it is very good, very enjoyable, and you'll want to go on it more than once for sure. If there is one downside to this ride, it would be throughput. There are only 3 trains in total, and each train can only hold 4 people maximum. So throughput isn't the best on this ride, but I will talk a little bit about that later on when I'm going through how to minimise the queuing and maximise the riding, but that'll be later on in this video. So that's number 3, Mumbo Jumbo. So here is where we deviate from roller coasters. Number 2, Cliffhanger, a drop tower. Now I'm not a big fan, in fairness, of drop towers. If there's anything that sort of like plays with my nerves and my small fear of height. It's drop towers, specifically when you're up there at the top waiting to come back down. I'm not a big fan of that. But I do like my airtime. So you go on a drop tower that's got a nice bit of airtime. I can live with the height and even live with being up there for a period of time if there's a reward, so to speak, to be had in terms of the thrill. Cliffhanger delivers this. The original ride, effectively what it used to do is shoot you up in the air first, and then after that part was done it would slowly rise to the top and then drop you. That particular chain of events wasn't on when I visited Flamingo Land this year. Indeed, all that it did was lift you up a little bit off the ground, held you there ever so slightly, and then shot you up. But you do get some excellent pops of airtime once you're at the very top, so it's a very enjoyable ride. And indeed, I did ride it multiple times due to the enjoyment of how high you were shot up. The actual height of the ride is 180 feet tall. So it's not the tallest drop tower, but you do sometimes find that some of the smaller drop towers have a little bit more force, a little bit more kick when they're released and you're shot up, and this would be one of them. And again, that's what makes it so much more enjoyable, and the reason why I've put it at number 2 in the list. So there we go, number 2, Cliffhanger. And so at number 1 is Sick. Now this is a ride, a roller coaster manufactured by Intamin. It is a second generation multi-inversion roller coaster. Now what I think makes this roller coaster different, and I do see the trend overall that roller coasters are going this way, is that you have a lap bar rather than over the shoulder restraints, and this does make the ride very comfortable. It is relatively new, although Flamingo Land technically isn't the first place this ride was installed at. But another thing that I like is there is a potential issue with this ride in that it only has one train, so you'd be a little bit worried about throughput. But one of the ways in which they've made up for that is the speed of the lift hill. The height of the lift hill isn't particularly tall, it's about 108 feet, but it absolutely flies up it. And I do think that makes a difference in terms of getting the riders on, getting them to enjoy the experience, and getting them back around, seems that you've only got one train. Now on the day that I went, there was not a large crowd, so we were pretty much able, even sometimes, to stay on the ride, or indeed if we had to come off the ride, rejoin the queue. We were not waiting too long. But I do think what is helped by that is how quick the lift hill is. It doesn't make the ride, obviously, but it does make a massive difference. So in terms of the different elements on this ride, the first inversion is a full loop. It is quite intense, it goes through it fast, and it actually enters it from literally ground floor. So that is pretty impressive. It's then got a cobra roll. Now I did notice that the cobra roll was just starting to shake just a little bit after you've done the first part of it. So even though this ride has only been at Flamingo Land a few years, the cobra roll is probably the most intense part of the ride and is starting just to shake ever so slightly. Now I'm not sure specifically why. I have seen this on a number of roller coasters previously, that it's the cobra roll that tends to show up any shaking or slight roughness in a ride first. So I'm not sure whether or not the water elements, the mist just before the ride, has had an impact on how rough the Cobra Roll is compared to the rest of the ride. And again, when I say it's rough, it's more than bearable, but you do notice that difference. After that, you've got 2 corkscrews. Again, really intense, very exciting to go through that. Before finishing off with the barrel rolls. Now you've got 4 in a row, one way, and then it turns around and a final one into the station. Now this bit is really intense with the lap bar. It's you do wonder if you'd be better with a over-the-shoulder restraint, but it's really good fun. I do think as a result of having 4 in a row, there'll be a limit to how many times you can re-ride it. It's definitely re-rideable. I think what we did, we rode it 12 times during the day in total, but a maximum of 4 in any one particular go. And for me, that's enough. That's fine. Mainly because it is very intense because of those multiple barrel rolls right at the end. And so overall, with the amount of intensity from the inversions and a little bit of airtime that you can get on this ride, this is the reason why I've put this roller coaster at number 1 at Flamingo Land Resort. The one concern I have in regards to SICK is actually its name. It's obviously called SICK in association with the partnership or sponsorship they've got in place with the clothing brand SICK. My concern is what happens when that agreement ends. Will that result in a new name for the roller coaster? And we have seen that happen in the past, including quite recently with other roller coasters. So that would be my only concern. But if you would like some additional description of what I think about Hero, then I would compare it to getting in a shark cage, that shark cage being dropped in shark infested waters, and you've got a cut in your hand. And I think that's all I've got to say about Hero.
Hero? Who needs a hero when you've got the Fifth Guardian?
Well, I don't know who that was, but I agree with the sentiments. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about getting around the park. And really the advice here is relatively straightforward. And it is all about avoiding the crowds. Now, I know some people like an atmosphere, but I'm not one for queuing. Obviously, we have to queue, but I'd prefer not to. So, my general advice is how to go about avoiding where the crowds go. Now, typically at Flamingo Land, you have your showcase ride at the front of the park. So quite a lot of people go to the showcase roller coaster, that being SICK. So I would advise that you start at the back of the park in regards to the amusement area. The other piece of advice that I would sort of like put in there as well is try to get the roller coasters done first that have the lowest throughput. So those pieces of advice actually go hand in hand for this particular park. Because at the back of the amusement park area we have Mumbo Jumbo, and Mumbo Jumbo is indeed the lowest throughput roller coaster at the park. So that is what I would do first. I would go to the back of the amusement park area and get my first ride of the day on Mumbo Jumbo. So let's bring the map of Flamingo Land Resort up. Okay, so here is the front of the park, okay, entrance. And as you can see, SICK is right at the front of the park. I'm suggesting you walk by SICK and you head past Hero to the back of the park where you've got 2 roller coasters, Mumbo Jumbo and Kumali. I would suggest you do Mumbo Jumbo first. Get as many rides in as you can at the beginning. Most people, as I said, get stuck at the front. So head to the back first, do the low throughput rides first, and then after Mumbo Jumbo, do Kamali. And there we are. You've got 2 roller coasters done already. And so once you've done those 2 rides at the back, you make your way straight to the front, because people at the front will go to the middle. So basically, go to the front then and get your rides on Sick. And then once you've had your fill on Sick, go to Velocity. And there we go. That's the 4 main roller coasters at this park done, while avoiding the crowds. Typically, mostly. Obviously, there are other people that are a little bit shrewd and they'll follow that suit. But generally speaking, that approach will mean the fewer people are doing what you're doing, and you will get on the rides quick. I mean, when my friend and I got to Sick following this approach, literally Sick was walk on, and we were able to do back to back 4 times. And for a couple of the times, there was such little of a queue. We could literally just either stay on the ride or pick another seat if they were free. We didn't have to walk around. So, yes, very good indeed. Very good indeed. Having got the 4 roller coasters we wanted to get at this park, we then went back to the back of the park and got our ride on Cliffhanger, the drop tower, and we had a go also on the pirate ship. Now, in regards to the drop tower, what I found is, because it's a drop tower, lots of people don't like riding them. It's pretty much walk on, and if there was a queue, it was only 1 cycle we had to wait before getting on. And again, it was a ride that we did on multiple occasions, and indeed on 1 occasion we could literally stay on for back-to-back rides. So, one final thing to cover about this park and roller coasters. The park states that it has 9 roller coasters. Now, I've covered what I consider to be the top 4 thrill roller coaster rides at this park. I've also touched on Hero, which would be the 5th roller coasters, but that means I've not accounted for the remaining 4. So if we go back to looking at the map, you'll see, if we scroll down to this area, this is a family stroke children's area. And in this area, there are indeed 3 roller coasters that are family-based roller coasters. And at the bottom in the corner is a children's only Caterpillar roller coaster, and this makes up the 9 roller coasters. As an adult, I probably wouldn't be too bothered about riding the 3 roller coasters that would be available to me, but they are very good starter roller coasters in terms of getting children interested in riding roller coasters. But that makes up your 9. Now, the park does also have a number of flat rides. So, my mind, it is all about prioritising the rides that you want to do first, and then have the opportunity of picking off the smaller rides and maybe rides you're not too bothered about later on in the day. Now, that's really moves us on to hours. So, on the day that I went, the hours were relatively short. It was, I believe, from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. Now, in the summer holidays, the park is generally speaking open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., but they're not particularly long hours, which sort of moves on in terms of a strategy I would probably suggest as well in terms of what you're going to do in terms of eating. What my friend and I did is we ate before getting to the park, and then we ate after leaving the park. And effectively, that just meant we were able to get everything we wanted to do at the park, including quite a number of re-rides. I would suggest that if there is you feel a little bit hungry, just to snack, there are plenty of little snack places. My friend and I, we literally just stopped for 15 minutes in the morning and had a coffee, and then 15 to 30 minutes just before the park shuts, and had another drink. And then round about, I think it's about 4:45, we just went back to sick until the ride was ready to close. Yeah, so that is what I would suggest generally in terms of eating. There are plenty of different places to eat, plenty of snacks, even sit down restaurants. But if possible, I would avoid, because of the hours at this park being shorter than normal, and therefore you can maximize the time on the ride. So I would strongly recommend eating before getting to the park, and then eat after the park has closed, especially if the hours are shorter during the off peak season, which is typically between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. So that moves on to how I would approach breaking the day down at this park. So, what I would suggest is you hit the rides when you get there, and obviously start at the back of the park, then come to the front, and then work your way towards the middle and the back of the park again, in terms of riding those flat rides and the drop tower. Then what I would do is round about 2 p.m. ish. Typically, people will be going for lunch around about 1 p.m. and then they start hitting the rides again from about 2 p.m. So I would take that opportunity to get a break, having done potentially 3 to 4 hours of rides, to have a walk around the wildlife part of the park, and probably give yourselves between an hour to 1.5 hours, possibly even 2 hours, to take in all the wildlife aspect. The other thing as well is then typically what happens is people finish riding the big rides round about 4 p.m. and even start heading home, or again move to looking at the animals at the end of the day. So then towards sort of 3:30 time till the end, whether that be a 5 p.m. finish or a 6 p.m. finish, hit the rides again. And what I've found when I've done that is I have minimized the time that I'm spending in the queues for the ride, while at the same time maximizing all the rides that are there, as well as the wildlife attractions. So there we go. That's a breakdown. Now that then leads on to pricing. So this park is not the cheapest park, predominantly because it has not just an amusement park, but a wildlife park. So typically, if you compared this to, say, some of the main parks such as Thorpe Park or indeed Alton Towers, this park effectively costs twice as much per ticket, almost, not quite. I'm not going to give specific pricing, simply because year on year that pricing changes. So I'll just talk in general. But what this park does offer is free parking. So if you want a park that has animal attractions, does have some thrill rides, and also has excellent family areas, then this park is definitely for you, and you won't be disappointed. The only obviously downside is the pricing is higher than a normal amusement park, but is comparable. If, say, for example, you were taking your family to either a zoo or just a wildlife park. So now I'll move on to security and lockers. So security, there are security checks. I was staying the night in York, so I actually took with me a rucksack that had a laptop in it. It had obviously cameras in it, and it had a set of clothes. And there wasn't any problem getting through. Security is pretty quick. Um, they're obviously looking not for stuff like that, so they're not going to stop you going through. In regards to lockers, I didn't use any lockers. What you are able to do on all the rides is leave your bags in the station, so there's no requirement for lockers. And it all seemed perfectly safe. Effectively, in the stations, that there are relatively secure places to put your bag, so it's perfectly fine, and obviously negates the requirement for spending money on a locker. So there we go. That's really all I've got to say on security and lockers. Okay, so finally, I'll talk briefly about how you get to Flamingo Land. So Flamingo Land is in Yorkshire. It is northeast of York, and your options to get in to Flamingo Land are either private car or public transport in the form of train and or bus. Now, if you're driving there, um, the good news is parking is free, so that's one less cost to take into consideration. If you are getting public transport, then sort of the place to go to first will typically be York, and then at York you can make a decision to either catch a train to Malton, and then at Malton, literally just outside the train station there, you catch a bus directly to Flamingo Land. Alternatively, you can catch a bus from York either directly to Flamingo Land, or indeed you do need to change at Malton. Now, currently, the bus supplier is Coastliner. So I will include in this video a sort of like a little image of the bus numbers to catch. But obviously the problem with that is things do change. So this information is valid as of 2024 and possibly 2025. Beyond that, I'm not sure. On the day that my friend and I went, we caught the bus from York to Malton, changed at Malton, only had to wait about 10 minutes before catching a direct bus to Flamingo Land. Now, I think the reason why they had the change at Malton was simply so that the only people going to Flamingo Land are from Malton, and obviously the bus from York to Malton went on to other places and didn't have any people going any further to Flamingo Land. We knew we were on the right bus because there were a number of employees there already with their outfits on. So yeah, relatively straight up forward to figure out. In terms of whether or not to catch the bus or the train, it really comes down to timing. And for us on the day, timing was better to catch a bus. So I do think what might influence your decision there is simply the time of opening of Flamingo Land, which obviously does vary throughout the year. All right, so that's it. There we go. Flamingo Land Resort. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
think that's my 5. Oh no.